Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito, here at La Scuola Culinaria at Tuscan Market, and today I'm with some very special friends, and of course you, and we're making pesce and seafood too. And that's all there is to it. I mean, cooking doesn't have to be complicated. Add the cream. So about a half a cup of heavy cream goes in here. You did a great job, Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Mary.
With the base of the pan. It's a little rumba action.
I've got a relatively clean hand to work with.
I always say you have to keep that hand clean so you can answer the phone.
There you go.
Yeah. Ciao! You did both so well. You did really, really well. That was beautiful. I think you should keep that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, absolutely. Today, we are going to make a very popular Neapolitan dish called acqua pazza, crazy water. It's a weird name for a recipe, but it's a very traditional one. And let me show you what happens in this recipe. So you have to start with fish, pesce. And here we have some beautiful looking cod. So you want the loin cut of the cod, the thicker part of the fish. And I have to tell you, when this recipe is made in Naples, they use the whole fish. So when it's presented to you as the final dish, it has the head and the tail. Of course, the fish is clean, gutted, and all of that. But we live in America, and we don't do those things. But by having the whole fish, it gives you that added flavor. So we have nice looking cod here, and you can tell it's fresh by, first of all, looking at it. That's number one. If it looks yellow, it looks a little dried out, you know that that's old fish. And the other way of telling, of course, is to just smell it. It should smell sweet and fresh. If it doesn't, well, then you know that you have old fish. So for this recipe, we need 4 6-ounce pieces of cod. And here we have 4 beautiful pieces. This is a dish that goes together very, very quickly once you have all the ingredients ready. So let me show you how it goes. And I always work on a mat that's for seafood. And this, you should do the same if you're making a fish dish. Always have these mats ready because you don't want to really contaminate a wood surface. So I'm going to put this aside and show you what goes with the cod, because cod by itself is pretty bland. So we want to do something to it. Now, why is it called acqua pazza? It's called acqua pazza because originally these Neapolitan fishermen would go out, they would catch the fish, and they would cook it in seawater. And we all know how salty that can be. So they would add seawater, they would add wine, they would add tomatoes, whatever they had, and this became acqua pazza. So we're going to make it today for you. So you want to start with the aromatics. And here we have a nice head of fennel. Now, most Italians eat this as a digestivo, raw, so they'll have it after a main meal. But it's also great cooked. It's wonderful in this dish. It's great roasted. It has a very sweet flavor and a very mild licorice taste. Some people don't like that. So when you buy it, the whole thing is edible. Most people throw this part away and only use the bulb. So you have the bulb, then you have the stalks, and you have these fronds, which are very nice in soups and stews. Often when you buy it, you see that there may be a few little, brown spots on it, but there's nothing to worry about. All you have to, you just want to scrape it with your vegetable peeler and get those rust spots off. So you just take it off, and then you can go ahead and use the whole bulb. So you just take those off. You want to wash this really well. Cut off the bottom there. That can go in soup, so we don't want to throw that away. And then you just want to cut it down. Take off the fronds and the stems. This you're going to save and use in something else. And then it's a matter of just slicing it. And you just want to slice it in thin slices. So you need, about a half to a cup of the sliced fennel. So now that we have that, I'm just going to put this aside and talk to you about the tomatoes, because that is another essential part of this recipe. So for the tomatoes, you want to use either cherry tomatoes, or you could use canned tomatoes. If you do, make sure that you use a good one, a good product from Italy. So I love cherry tomatoes in this. And before I got here today, actually yesterday, I went in my garden and I picked some tomatoes for you because one of my very favorites is this tomato. Look at this tomato. It's very different than this cherry tomato, right? First of all, it's much bigger than this. They're both very sweet. This tomato is called a Piedmont del Vesuvio, because it grows at the base of Mount Vesuvius in Campania. And because it grows at the base of Mount Vesuvius, it's grown in that volcanic rich soil. So it has really, really delicious flavor. Let me show you what it's like inside. You see, it's very, very meaty. Now, what do you use this tomato for? This tomato is good for sauces, for stews. It's good for salads. But what the Neapolitans do is they gather up all these tomatoes. They still have it on the vine. And then they put it around hemp rope, and they hang them. So you've often seen pictures of these tomatoes hanging, you know, and they dry them for the winter. So this is a good choice. You can find seeds for the Piedmont tomato on the website, on our website, and also on any garden seed website. And it has that nice little point right there, a very good meaty, meaty tomato. If you're not using that, you can just use generic cherry tomatoes. And here we have them all cut up. Here is another option. This is a plum tomato. Now this tomato, of course, is used for sauces. And everybody thinks that they're growing a San Marzano tomato. You're not. You're growing a plum tomato. San Marzano tomatoes may look like this, but they can only be grown in San Marzano in Campania. So if you have a can of tomatoes that says San Marzano on it, but it doesn't have DOP after it, those letters that tell you that it comes from a specific area in Italy, you're not making something with San Marzanos. You're making something with just a plum tomato. So now that you know all that, I'm going to get started at the stove, and we're going to get a little olive oil and garlic going. Couple tablespoons of olive oil in the pan, extravergine. So we want to add some garlic, 2 cloves sliced. And you'll know when garlic is right in a pan because, first of all, you can smell it, so it's fragrant. Secondly, you don't want it to burn. You want it to just get a little color on it. So I'm real careful about watching it. Then you want to add that fennel. So there's the fennel that we sliced up. And we just want to let this wilt down. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit and let that cook until it's where I want it. And meanwhile, let me talk to you about what else goes into this. So we need a little bit of hot red pepper flakes. This is a piacere. You know what that means in Italian? It means as much as you like. So a piacere. If you don't like it real hot, just add a few flakes. If you really like it like that, you can add as much as you want. So we're going to add a few little hot red pepper flakes. And then we have these cute little things. These are capers. Capari in Italian. Capari. And they're called capers because they grow in the Mediterranean all over, not just Italy, but also Spain, Greece, Turkey, those places. They grow in the crags and stone walls. And this is the unopened flower bud, actually, of the caper plant. And they are extremely pungent. They are, you know, they've got a little bit of a vinegary taste to them. Yeah, but they add a lot of zest to a lot of different dishes. Now, you can get them in brine, which is what these are, or you can get them in salt. If you get them in salt, you've got to rinse them really, really well. The best ones come from Pantelleria, which is an island off of Sicily. So then we want some anise seeds. So here are some anise seeds. And then we're going to add some of these Castelvetrano olives. And here they are, cut up. This is an olive that comes from western Sicily. And it's meaty and fruity. It's mild. It's not real salty. Even people who don't like olives will like this olive. So we've cut them up. And you can buy them like this already pitted, so you don't have to fight with, getting the pits out. So now that you know that, I'm going to take all this over to our pan, because then we've got to add the tomatoes, a little vino, water, and we're ready to add the fish. The fennel is nice and soft. It's where we want it now. So now we can add our hot red pepper flakes. Remember, I told you this is a piacere. So because I like it a little spicy, I'm just going to add, what I like. So a few pepper flakes. You want to add those capers, briny capers. We want to add a few fennel seeds with that licorice flavor that's going to bring out more flavor from the chopped fennel that we have in there. We want to add our tomatoes. Here they are, pomodorini in Italian. And we want to mix this up. A little bit of salt and pepper. Again, don't overdo it, because you want to flavor it at the end as well. But any cook knows that you've got to flavor as you go. Got to flavor as you go. So test, test, test. So there's a little pepper for us. I'm going to mix this around. And this is great served over with the fish. If you have some toasted bread in the bottom of the bowl, it's really delicious. So now that we have that mixed, we need to add the olive, which are right here. So the olives go in, half a cup or so, pitted. See how pretty this looks now? Really beautiful. Almost the colors of the Italian flag, green, white, and red. And now that we have that, we want to add some water. About a half a cup of water goes in. Stir that around. And now I want to raise this heat a little bit, because we want to add some wine. And usually I like to use the wine that comes from the region. And this is a Greco di Tufo. And Greco di Tufo is one of the more popular Campanian wines from the region of Campania, where this recipe hails from. So I'm going to give this about a half a cup of the Greco di Tufo. Stir this around. Now you don't want to boil this away. You want to cook it very, very slowly. Add the fish on top. And we're going to put a cover on this, and we're going to let it cook until that fish turns opaque. It isn't going to take very long, maybe about 10 minutes on a low heat. So now we cover and we wait. I think it's great that Mary Ellen Powers, who is in the cooking school today, decided to come up here and cook with me. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Benvenuta, as they say in Italian. So do you know anything about fregola?
It's a grain.
Yes.
Used in Italian cooking.
Very good. See, smart already. So let me talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. So we're going to do a recipe from Sardinia. In Sardinia, one of the most popular pastas is something called fregola. So it's used with a lot of fish dishes, particularly with clams, because in Sardinia, they make this with a tiny, tiny, very sweet clam. But today we're going to do it with shrimp. We're going to do something a little different. So let's talk about the shrimp before we boil the fregola. So here we have, Mary Ellen, some shrimp. These are just medium-sized shrimp, and they've already been peeled and deveined. However, if they're not deveined, then you get this little tool. See, I love this little beak blade tool because I use it. It has a nice curve on it, so it follows the curve of the shrimp. So you can just go down the back like that and open it up and take out that intestinal tract that's usually there. These are nice and clean. So if you do have shrimp that have an intestinal tract, you need to use a small tool like this to get that vein out. You've done that before,
yes,
right?
Have,
okay.
Sure.
So then the question comes in, well, how much shrimp do I need? It depends on the size of the shrimp for the number of people that you want to serve. So you'll see on a bag of shrimp, it'll say U4150. And you're wondering, what's this U thing? U 41.50, that's a unit price, a unit piece. So that's telling you that there are 41 to 50 shrimp for a medium-sized shrimp. So next time you buy shrimp, if you're buying jumbos, you might see something that says 6-8. There's only 6 to 8 shrimp because they're jumbos. Today we're using medium, and we have here about 25 or 30 shrimp that we're going to use for a dish with the fregola. So we want to season this first. So for it, we want to add, why don't you put in a little bit of the garlic, powdered garlic. Now, why am I using powdered garlic? I very rarely use powdered garlic. This will stick to the shrimp. So why don't you mix that? And then we want to add a little bit of salt. So we want to just get them coated.
Now, do you keep the tails on for a specific reason?
I just think it looks nicer, but you can take them off. So a little salt, and then you want some black pepper. And I was first introduced to a fregola itself when I visited a friend of mine in Sardinia who lives in Cagliari, and he made the clam dish with the fregola. And ever since then, I became a fan of the fregola. So that's got the garlic now and the salt, the pepper, a few hot red pepper flakes. Remember,
I might like a lot.
You like a lot. Okay, well then, all righty, good. Okay, that looks good. Now mix that all around. And we just let these shrimp sit aside while we make the fregola, we cook the fregola, and we make the sauce for this dish. So, Mary Ellen, I'm going to have you cook the fregola, but we're not going to cook fregola in water. And this is just a tip for any kind of a grain that you want to cook in a liquid. I tend to like to use a broth, whether it's a beef broth, chicken broth, even wine, because it gives the grain a much better flavor. So we're using chicken broth, and we have 1 cup of the fregola. Now, you notice when you look at it, it has different colors, right? It's not all the same color. Some are darker than the others. That's because once these little grains are made from the semolina and water, they're rubbed into these little grains, they're dried, and then they're toasted. And that's why they have this different color variation. So, but that just adds to the appeal of it. So get this in a pot, bring it to a boil, we're gonna add the fregola, put the heat down to medium-high, and we're going to let that cook until the fregola is tender. We still want it to be chewy. It is a chewy type of pasta. So you'll know that it's right by tasting it. I can never really give a total time element here because everybody likes their pasta cooked a little differently. We really want this to be al dente. All right, so here, Mary Ellen, we have some diced zucchini. And you really want to use nice fresh zucchini. So, you know, I always try to use the smallest ones I can find because they have less seeds and less water. So if you go to the store, if you're getting this out of your garden, you want to get them when they're small because, you know, you have to sleep in the garden overnight because otherwise they become baseball bats. So we've got about 4 cups of the diced zucchini. And then to flavor this even more, we've got some tomatoes in olive oil. So these are dried tomatoes in olive oil. Now, I usually make my own, and if you go on the Ciao Italia website, you can find the recipe for making tomatoes, dried tomatoes in olive oil. And then you have them, you know, during the winter months. And this gives a really nice bumped up flavor. And then, of course, we need some onions, and we have some parsley here. So those are going to be the ingredients that go with our shrimp. So we have to cook this first, and a little olive oil, and then we'll add the shrimp because the shrimp aren't going to take very long at all. We don't want to overcook the shrimp because then they'll be tough. So are you ready to do this?
Yeah, sure. I have a question. Do you use flat leaf or curl leaf?
I use the flat leaf, Italian flat leaf parsley, which has a much better flavor, number 1. Curly parsley is used mainly as a garnish. You know, it doesn't have that flavor that flat leaf does. And I grow this in my garden every year, and then what I do is when I get a lot of it, I mince it up like this, just the way it is, and then in increments of 1/4 cups, I put them in some paper, plastic wrap or press and seal, twist it, and put the little bags in a big freezer bag. Then you can use it directly from the freezer in soup, stews, sauces, that kind of thing. You won't be able to use it, if you want to just sprinkle it over a plate because it'll just get too soft. So whenever you can, use Italian flat leaf parsley. Okay? Let's cook. All right, so we started here in the pan with about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. We've got 1 onion that's minced, and we just want to let the onion cook down a little bit. So once it's soft like that, then we can add in our zucchini. This is a real simple dish. It's going to be nice with the fregola and with the shrimp. So in go the zucchini, and now we have to let this cook down a little bit. So if you see that the pan is somewhat dry, because this is what cooking is all about, right? Using your head, you just add it as you go. Just add it as you go. I'm using extra virgin olive oil because extra virgin olive oil, yes, can be used in cooking. You don't want to deep fry with it, but if you're doing like a saute like this, it's perfectly fine to use. So we're going to let this go now until those zucchini wilt down. All right, so now you can see that the zucchini has cooked down, right, Mary Ann?
Yes, it looks great.
So we're going to add now these tomatoes. Remember, these are the tomatoes and olive oil. And that just adds another level of taste, but also color. It's very pretty looking. And then we're going to want those shrimp. So now they can go right on top. Spread them out. Because shrimp don't take very long to cook.
It smells delicious.
As soon as they turn pink, they're done. So I'm going to spread them out a little bit in the pan, just like that. And now we're going to give them that lemon juice right over the top. Cover. And in about 3 minutes, this is going to be ready to serve with the fregola. Beautiful, huh?
Beautiful.
Okay. Yes. So you see those shrimp, when they turn pink like that, they're done. So here's our fregola, nicely cooked in the chicken broth that we made ourselves. So now we just take some of this and layer it right over the top. It's just so pretty, and it really is super delicious, number one, and healthy. All right, now you need to give that a little bit of parsley. Wow. You did a great job, Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
So, there you have it. Fregola with shrimp, Sardinian style. Wow, Mary Ellen, look what we did today. Class, look what we did, right? We made 2 fabulous dishes. One here called acqua pazza. What does that mean?
It means crazy water.
Exactly, because originally it was cooked in salt water, right, with wine. But we did it with tomatoes and olives and fennel, and it made a beautiful sauce. And now this is all ready to eat with maybe some beautiful grilled bread, huh? And then we traveled on down to Sardinia, and we made fregola, which is that wonderful little pasta that's so typical in Sardinian cuisine. And we combined it with onions and zucchini and shrimp, and it's a great first course. Mary Ellen, class, thank you for coming, and until I see you, nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito.
And I'm Mary Ellen Powers.
Ciao.
Ciao!